Another Monday live. We've got the garbage truck right on time. Gotta love Mondays in the burbs. We are going to be talking about genetic biohacking today. I am really excited for this topic. I've actually wanted to cover this topic for a number of months now, and that's it. Now is the time. Um, so before we get into biohacking our genetics and what that may mean for humanity, and do we need to be worried? Do we need to be excited? Kind of where on the fence are we? And really exactly what is a CRISPR kit? And like I said, what are the implications? Be sure to like this video if you do enjoy my videos, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share it because I think everyone needs to be made aware of some of these really big things that are happening on the planet. We do have I guess the only other thing before we get started, we have a Galactic Federation Summit happening this Wednesday, I want to say. January 11th, I'm really excited for it. We're going to kind of go over all of the main topics. Where are we at with the light and dark battle? What could we expect for 2023? What can we do to better raise and stabilize our vibration? But then I'm also going to ask two questions that have been on my mind for a while. One being related to this video. Hey, Galactic Federation, what do you guys think about a CRISPR kit or the CRISPR kit and the fact that humans, not just scientists, now have the power to mutate DNA? I'm really curious to see what they have to say because, yeah, I don't know. I'm just really curious. I also have this kind of big question mark thinking, are CRISPR kits a result of the shadow government, or are CRISPR kits the result of, the white hats, the good guys, the Galactic Federation ambassadors? So I'm really curious to see what they have to say about that. And then the other question that I really want to ask the Galactic Federation on the 11th is, it's been on my mind for a while, but finally it popped in, and it's about reptilians, and I'm not talking about the actual beings, I'm talking about reptiles on planet Earth and insects. I have such a curiosity. We see these giant 12th dimensional mantis beings out there in the universe, and then we've got these little tiny praying mantis insects on planet Earth. What is the relation? Like, did they want to basically make a smaller version of themselves on planet Earth to plant the idea that they're out there? Like, I just don't really know. And I've never asked them before. So I'm really curious about that. And I'm curious to see what they have to say about that question as well. So check that out and join me and the GFL on the 11th, January 11th, 2023. Very exciting times. So that's it. Let's just dive into it. What is a CRISPR kit? What is it? What does it do? A CRISPR kit is essentially a scientific kit. I'm definitely not a scientist, and I don't know. I'm just gonna go into the definition that I took from the website. So a CRISPR kit gives scientists, and not just only scientists, the ability to go into the DNA of living organisms, plants, animals, and human beings, and replace or remove a small portion of that that organism's genetic coding. Yeah. So I think what's really fascinating about a CRISPR kit is that I can buy one right now. Me, who has no idea what I'm doing, and I'm sure I'm not going to make a crazy big, devastating, or evolutionary impact on humanity because, once again, I have no idea what I'm doing. But this is a completely unregulated device. And it has the ability to change DNA of living organisms and human beings. And then let's just hypothesize here that the DNA of the living organisms that have been changed go on to, multiply and prosper and create other living organisms and other variations of themselves with that mutated DNA, right? I mean, we're talking about changing humanity. And I know that a CRISPR kit is a very rough, rudimentary version of changing DNA, but we have to talk about the implications of something like this, both physically, biologically, spiritually, in order to really understand where we're going and just to kind of put out some really big questions. Now, before I go into just kind of pondering this concept and putting it out there and just informing you all of it, I just want to say I am not a scientist. I am not an expert. This is all just speculation, and please do your own research. All right. I am just presenting an idea here, and I'm speculating about the pros and the cons of this idea, but it is so outside of my wheelhouse. It's just something, just like AI technology, that I think is so important for all of us just to be aware of so that we're in the know-how. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't really keep up with the trending topics. I'm not really that kind of person. This, I think, is really important to get in on at the ground level and then to watch how it progresses and how it really impacts and changes society as a whole. And I do believe that this CRISPR kit is going to have massive impacts. Good or bad, we don't know yet. Okay. So let's talk about the potential benefits of this CRISPR kit, this at-home genetic DNA manipulating kit. Now, like I said, it's a rudimentary version of, say, fully changing our genome. But the fact that this is in everyone's hands and not regulated whatsoever, it's just interesting. It's a huge, wide open door. So the potential benefits of the CRISPR kit. It is not limited by government regulations. That is a benefit. I view a CRISPR kit as kind of, what does Nat call it? Open source platform? Probably totally butchering that, but I think of cryptocurrency and other sort of, there are plugins for computers and other sort of software that are open source. And to my knowledge, if I'm using the right term here, it means that anyone from all over the world can work on it and improve it and experiment with it, right? Which is pretty awesome, pretty badass when something like that is unregulated and is completely open source. Anyone and their mother can buy a CRISPR kit and start to experiment with genomes, with codes, with DNA. And what's great about that is we are not limited by regulations. So finding something like the cure to cancer can be found by, Joe Smith from Oregon, rather than some sort of scientist who took 15 years to do it. Of course, there are downsides to that as well, which we're going to get to, but this open source genetic manipulation can be a good thing if it's unregulated, and of course there's downsides to that as well. Next potential benefit to this is rapid advancement. Because there aren't the red tapes that we have in the traditional scientific, other scientific ways. I really blame pregnancy for my inability to speak properly sometimes. I really do. Okay. And I can finally say that. Baby brain is a real thing. So rapid advancement, all right? So we get rid of the cancers. We get rid of the diseases. We get rid of certain things within our genetic coding really rapidly because there aren't all of the red tape, but also there isn't the type of lobbying and money and blockers going into the solutions that we have found before. It's been so regulated, right? Western medicine has been so regulated that only that top 1% is really in control of what gets through that red tape and what doesn't. And anything that actually cures, of course, has been completely squashed, and the people who have come up with those cures have been killed. Like, that is not even a conspiracy anymore. That has been absolutely proven time and time again. So what I think is really cool about this CRISPR kit is I think we can really find rapid advancement within our DNA structure, within different diseases and cancers, because multiple people can play around with this without the red tape and the lobbying. So potential benefit there. Next potential benefit is advancements in agriculture and bioenergy. So, I mean, think about a CRISPR kit. It's not just applying to human beings, even though I really want to focus on that today. It also applies to any and all living organisms. Now, when I think about biohacking agriculture, I think about Monsanto and I think about genetically modified, food and seeds. And that has been awful. But guess what? It has all been regulated by the government. So of course it's been awful. What can we do now when we think about agriculture and genetically modifying it to the benefit of humanity? You know what I mean? Like, imagine, I really think in so many ways hydroponics are the future, and I have a lot of reasons behind that, and that's a totally different video. But yeah, I just think that there are certain advancements that we can make agriculturally that could really benefit everyone, and we have access to the food that we need for our growing population. So potential benefits there. And then the last potential benefit that I thought of when thinking about this technology is giving back the power to the people. I feel very similarly about something like cryptocurrency. And if you haven't already watched my crypto video, please do, because everything that I mentioned in that crypto video literally happened and went down like weeks after I mentioned it. Now, of course, I have a very smart wife who's like on top of all that stuff, and then I have a pretty good intuition. So I do believe that cryptocurrency is a really great 5D solution. It's like a new earth solution that's going to help everyone gain access to pretty like an open source, financial currency, rather than something that is so, just printing money that it's not even worth burning anymore. We're getting to that point, especially here in America. So I really think that something like this CRISPR kit can give the power back to the people, and people who are really interested in genetics and DNA can do this from home without necessarily having, a clearance for it, which once again could be an issue, but it could also really be a benefit. And finally, the people all over the world can find solutions without the red tape. So once again, it really comes back to that. But I view CRISPR kits as a 5D solution, as a new earth solution, if we can do it right. And right now, it is totally open. It could go really, really well or really, really, really wrong. So let's talk about the wrong side of it. Let's talk about the potential harm of the CRISPR kits. It's not regulated. I have such a hard time with regulation, right? Like, it's almost like, and I'm just going to throw it out there, but as always, take it or leave it. If you think about something that's unregulated, you think about it being very volatile. I mean, think about cryptocurrency. And then there's a whole conspiracy behind why is cryptocurrency so volatile? Because the ones who like to regulate are making it volatile. You know what I mean? It's just like that. And that was all a part of my crypto video, so please watch that. If it's not on my YouTube, it's definitely on my membership, so just type in crypto in my video search on elizabethapril.com if you want to check that out. So yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with regulation, because when you really ask the question, who is regulating these things? It's that top 1%. It's the shadow governments. It's the people behind the governments that are really in charge, that are vying for regulation so that once again they can have all the power. That's why I really put an emphasis on, if this is unregulated, it's a good thing. It's open source, right? It's the power is in the hands of the people, but at the same time, anyone can buy one. There is no regulation whatsoever on changing genetic DNA of humans and agriculture and other organisms, right? So I don't know. I'm in between there. So unregulated can be a positive or a negative thing. I think it's probably more of a positive thing, but once again, you figure that out for yourself. So the next potential harm of the CRISPR kits is now potentially we can find and advance rapidly through cures for cancers and diseases with something like an unregulated, DNA mutation kit. It's probably not the right words for that. But at the same time, we could potentially create new diseases or new issues. It's kind of this thing of you get rid of one thing and you open, the portal to all of the other issues that could come in. So I just had to put that because if we're going to find new cures for things, we might also find new diseases or new issues with genetics as well. And then, but the last potential harm for the CRISPR kits is basically it can be put into the wrong hands. Now, once again, when I think about who's the right hands and who's the wrong hands, I really think about the shadow government being the wrong hands, and they probably had this technology a very long time ago, so there's a lot of kind of big question marks. Speaking of questions, I have some questions to consider. The first question I have here, just to ponder, just to think about, and I want you to do your own research on this and come to your own conclusions as per usual. Are we about to create a world focused on genetic traits rather than conscious evolution? So are we really focusing on genetic evolution versus conscious evolution? And to be honest, when I think about human history, we've always focused on biological evolution. We really lost our connection with conscious evolution, especially with things like religion, who just totally effed that up for us, When I really think about the CRISPR kits and the potential future for CRISPR kits, the first thing I thought of was the movie Gattaca, which, if you have not seen, it is by far one of my favorite movies. I saw it a very, very long time ago. Please write this down. Gattaca. Gattaca. So good. It is a bit of an older movie, but essentially what happens is it's kind of like a dystopian future, and every baby that's born, so basically the parents will go into a doctor's office and say, well, I want our son, first of all, I want a boy. I want blue eyes. I want brown hair. I want him to be 6'4". I want him to be athletically built. I also want him to have high IQs. And then when you go into an interview, you don't bring your resume, you bring your, essentially, a birth certificate that says the genetic traits that you were born with. I mean, down to everything. That's the movie, okay? That's the movie. Now, a CRISPR kit is a very long way away from even choosing something like intelligence, because what genetics are even behind intelligence? We haven't even mapped the entire genetic code of a human being yet. So we are far from that. That being said, when you do something like IVF, which is like a pregnancy treatment, you can basically get an implanted egg inside your body, and I believe you can choose to have twins. I believe you can choose to have a certain gender. And from what I've heard, or I've seen a couple documentaries on, some places you can choose eye color and hair color. And I'm not totally sure how advanced we are, but it is not far off, right, from this movie Gattaca, which is, it just opens up a whole new world of moral implications and questions and, things to discuss. And if we hop into this really quickly, then we may not fully understand the implications of what we're doing here. And then are we getting rid of something like natural selection? And I think in a lot of cases, we're already getting rid of natural selection. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that why our population is booming? And I don't know. I don't really have the answers to this. These are kind of moral dilemmas that I haven't really bothered to think about too much, to be honest. So please go watch that movie, Gattaca. So freaking good. I might watch it tonight, actually. Okay, next question, just to kind of think about with genetic manipulation and biohacking. Will we track different experiments / mutations? And should we? So if someone from their own home has some sort of genetic anomaly, and they're able to pinpoint that genetic anomaly, and say, for example, with a CRISPR kit or the CRISPR kit 5.0 or whatever, whatever the next advanced CRISPR kit is to come out, and they want to remove that genetic anomaly from their own self, they don't have to write a report. They don't have to track that. They don't have to write that down. And we don't know what those implications are. And then they go on to breed and have a family and pass on, that now biohacking, right, within themselves. So once again, how will we track different genetic experiments and mutations from the CRISPR kit? And should we? Right? Once again, coming down to that movie Gattaca, right? Everything was tracked to the point where you wouldn't get jobs if you were of natural selection because you were going to be deformed in some way or another. So it's fascinating. Okay. Next question here. Just putting it out there. Is this a greater plan from the shadow governments? So if you think about this being kind of a greater conspiracy to put out a CRISPR kit, if the shadow governments have had this technology for a while, and I'm sure they have, then have they released this to create all-out mayhem for the human race? Or, and I don't know the answer to this, or is this actually being released by the white hats or the good guys or the galactic volunteers to help advance us further without the regulations, without the red tape, without the lobbying, without the Western medicine limitations, right? I'm kind of leaning more so towards the latter than the former, but I think in my Galactic Federation Summit coming up on the 11th, I'm definitely going to ask that question, how has this been released, and are you worried about it being unregulated, and how are you overseeing something like this, and are humans responsible enough to have this type of power even at its most rudimentary form? I have so many questions about this, but I think it's fascinating and it's exciting. I think it's really exciting. Okay. Yeah, should we be worried or excited? This is my next question. Should we be worried? What do you think? What are you guys, you're sitting there, maybe this is the first time you've ever heard about CRISPR kits. Maybe you're a freaking CRISPR kit expert. You know more than me. Are you excited about this? Are you worried about this? What's your kind of initial intuitive hunch on CRISPR kits and the ability for human beings to manipulate genetics? Where are you guys at? I'm definitely leaning more so towards excitement. Not into it. What is the CRISPR kit? You gotta watch the beginning of the video. Okay, gave me the vibes it was in good hands. It's both. It's terrible. Yep. Hard no from me. Not excited. Okay, nope. Yeah. Not for it. It's dangerous. Worried. Okay. All right. Hard no. Throw it in the bin. All right. Nope. Okay. You guys are all against it. I don't know. I just feel like We've been so stuck on cancer research for 40 years. Come on. Like, where is that all that money going? Like, I don't know. I feel like this could really push things along, but there are a lot of concerns that I have as well. Yeah, most of you are. Okay. Most of you are saying no. Couple excited. All right. I don't know. I'm definitely on the fence. I'm definitely on the fence too. I feel like it's so new in the technology that, um, yeah, that we just don't know yet. And someone says, we're perfect. We are perfect. And I agree with that to some extent, but I also think that human beings were never meant to really have disease. I know it sounds weird, but I truly believe humans have lived up to 600 years before. I feel like we have the capacity to live a lot longer than where we're at now. And I think it's a combination of environmental factors. And yeah, there's poisons everywhere. That's a big part of it. I think it's also a combination of vibrational factors too. Our vibration has plummeted, and that hasn't really allowed us to live longer lives. So there are so many question marks here. And like I said, this is just something at this time, beginning of 2023, that we need to start just being aware of, in our lifetime, because it's going to change rapidly in the next 10 years. Guarantee you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm excited for new possibilities. Yeah, okay. A couple more questions here. What are the long-term implications? What are the long-term implications of using a CRISPR kit? How is this forever going to change humanity? I mean, big, big, big questions here, and I don't have the answers for. And when will we know the impact? It could take 3 generations to really know the impact, and I think that's probably the biggest worry. And then if there is a negative impact, can we then backtrack that negative impact by also genetically mutating ourselves again? You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Greys, okay, as a species, because the Greys, it's a sad story, really. So, I mean, the Greys as like a species, like, the tall, short, big black eyes, gray, stereotypical aliens. They are all genetic copies of one another. Now, there's many, many, many species of gray, and they all vary in the shape of their eye and the shape of their head and the height and even the body. So there's like hundreds, if not probably thousands of different variations of grays from many different solar systems, galaxies, dimensions. That being said, the ones that I am familiar with are just biological copies of one another. And the reason why they are like that is because they got their hands on the ability to genetically manipulate their genetics. And they ended up manipulating their genetics so much that they started dying off. You know what that reminds me of? Kind of, not really. You know those dogs who have been interbred so much and they just have like hip issues at the age of 3? It's really, really sad. So you don't actually want to buy a purebred dog because they have genetic issues. It's very, very similar to the Greys. And this is why, in so many ways, the Greys are actually master geneticists, because they have been trying to save their species for millennia, for a very long time, because they messed up and they can't go back. So now that I'm comparing it to the Greys, I'm like, yeah. But that's why I really want to ask the Galactic Federation, because they have been through this. They have seen species do this before. Like the GFL have seen this play out. So, hello, what are they going to do about it? Should they stop this? I mean, it's already happening. I don't know. I'm just going to be so curious to see what they have to say on the 11th. And then last question is, is the change reversible? And I already kind of just, brought that up as a question. and then there's a certain point in time where you could only manipulate your genome so much, right? Just like the Greys. So it's all very interesting and fascinating. And like I said, I just wanted to really open the door to this topic and get your mind thinking about it. And it's going to be something just like AI technology that we want to be really observing moving forward. And yeah, AI is like a whole other beast, man. It's pretty wild. But we need to be kind of just keeping these things in our back burner and also asking kind of the higher up, governmental sort of structures beyond the government, right? Like the Galactic Federation about these things because they have a lot of knowledge and wisdom and they've been through a lot of this stuff before. So I don't know. We'll see what they have to say on the 11th, but that being said, hope you guys give this video a thumbs up. Once again, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to share this video. I'm so, so grateful to be here as always, and I will continue to bring some pretty epic content moving forward about everything: quantum physics, science, conspiracy, 5D, shifting our vibration, surrendering, all of that great stuff. I just love how diverse I can really make this channel, and I love how you guys are just down for it. I think that some people maybe watch one video of mine and then they expect them all to be the same, and then they get a little triggered that they're not. They're like, well, this is what I expected from you. And it's like, well, I'm not a linear being, so I'm not just going to talk about one thing because I don't want to get bored, you know? So I hope to see all of you on the 11th for the Galactic Federation Summit. I think it's going to be really, really fascinating. And I will be in Mexico all this week, so please check out my Instagram page. It's at elizabeth.april. I only have one account. I will never reach out to you on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube and solicit a reading. I do not do one-on-one readings anymore, so please be aware of fake accounts. But if you want to see my Mexico journey in the next week, and it's going to be really nice, I will be posting a lot on my stories, Instagram stories, and maybe a couple of posts on my actual Instagram as well. So yeah, so that's it. I'm hoping to kind of relax and take a bit of a vacation, but when you work for yourself, you never really get time off. So I got what do I have? A Galactic Federation meeting. I got a Q&A coming up. I got a group session. All while I'm in Mexico, so I'm really hoping that the Wi-Fi will hang in there. Other than that, thank you all so, so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon enough in the fifth dimension frequency.